Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another instant deck tech. So today we're heading all the way back to Legacy for a super sweet combo deck. This is Golgari Depths. This build recently took Magic Online user POW22 to a 5-0 finish in a competitive Legacy League, so congrats to POW22 on their finish with the deck. A quick reminder before we break it down, if you enjoy this deck and want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So Golgari Depths is built around a really weird land, Dark Depths. So Dark Depths is one of those cards that was printed to work a certain way, and then because of cards that came after it, it works in a much more broken way than originally intended. So if you look at the card itself, it's a legendary snowland, and when it enters the battlefield, it enters with 10 ice counters. And then you can pay 3 to remove an ice counter. When you get rid of all the ice counters, you sack the Dark Depths, and you get a 2020 Merit Lage token, which is flying and indestructible. This huge threat that's almost guaranteed to win the game. So the original idea of Dark Depths is you play it, pay 3 mana this turn, maybe 3 mana the next turn. After a while, you hopefully remove all the counters and you get this big threat. Sort of the ice is melting, and then all of a sudden the monster emerges. Well, this changed when Wizards printed Vampire Hexmage and Thespian Stage. All of a sudden, they printed cards that just break Dark Depths and make instead of having to spend 30 mana to get a 20/20 to remove all the counters, you can just do it instantly. So Vampire Hexmage is a 2/1 first striker for 2 mana, but that's not really relevant. You don't play it as a creature. The whole reason you play it is it has an ability where you can sack it to remove all the counters from a target permanent. So if you target Dark Depths with Vampire Hexmage, you immediately get your Merit Lage. So you can do this on like turn 2, potentially, even sooner than that with the right mana draws. And then Thespian Stage is a little weird. It's a land that can pay 2 and tap to become a copy of another land. So what you do with Thespian Stage is pay the 2, tap it, you make it a copy of Dark Depths, and the way Dark Depths is worded, getting the counters when it enters the battlefield, since Thespian Stage is already on the battlefield when it becomes a copy, it becomes a Dark Depths without any counters on it, and Dark Depths says when it has no ice counters on it, you sack it and get a Merit Lage, so it immediately becomes a Merit Lage, you sacrifice the Thespian Stage. So those are the ways that you can get this huge threat very quickly with Golgari Depths, and that's what this deck is trying to do. That's exclusively built around setting up this combo as efficiently as possible, doing it as quickly as possible, and then protecting the combo so it will be able to use the Merit Lage token to win the game. So the deck plays a bunch of ways to find the lands it needs to combo off. So you can find your Dark Depths, for one, also find your Thespian Stage, so crop rotation, 1 mana instant, sack a land, get a land. Into the North searches for a snow land, so it's like a rampant growth that not only can get the snow-covered basics that are in this deck, but also the Dark Depths, so you got a little bit of extra synergy there. And then Sylvan Scrying just searches for any land, puts it in your hand. And then the deck plays a bunch of ways to proactively protect the combo. Thoughtseize and Duress, get rid of the Swords to Plowshares that might be in your opponent's hand. Pithing Needle comes down to name Wasteland to make sure your opponent isn't going to be able to disrupt the combo that way. And then you got some fast mana, so this is how you can potentially get a Merit Lage as quickly as turn 1 even. If you can go Dark Depths, Lotus Petal, Vampire Hexmage, you made yourself a Merit Lage on turn 1. Of course, that's kind of magical Christmas land, but the idea is this speeds the deck up, lets everything happen a bit faster. And then as far as protecting the Merit Lage token, not of this world, which counters a spell or ability that targets a permanent you control, which Merit Lage would be, but if the permanent that's being targeted is a creature with power 7 or greater, you get to cast it for free. So it's just a free counter spell if your opponent tries to Swords to Plowshares or bounce your Merit Lage. And then Sagiri Steep works with your land fetching, especially crop rotation, which is instant speed. When it enters the battlefield, gives a creature you control protection from a color. So if your opponent goes to Swords, your Merit Lage token, you can crop rotate, sack a land, get your Sagiri Steep, and give your Merit Lage protection from white, for example, to protect it from the Swords to Plowshares. The rest of the mana base, fetch lands, dual lands, snow-covered basics, so you can fetch them out with the Into the North if you need to. Urborg, Ghost Quarter, and a single Bajuka Bog is kind of a silver bullet target for your land search, good against Dredge and even Snapcaster decks and so forth. In the sideboard, a couple more lands to search out. Karak is really great against Emrakul, Grizzlebrand decks, things like that. Maze of Ith, some protection. Then we have some lock pieces, so since you don't really need to cast spells and you can win just with lands with this deck, you can play Chalice Void, set it on 1, also protects from Swords to Plowshares, and just locks some decks out of the game entirely. And then Sphere of Resistance just makes Brainstorms and Ponders and all that stuff that people are playing costs more, but doesn't really hurt you as much because, like I said, you can win with just your lands. Abrupt Decays for a bit of removal, also gets rid of like Ensnaring Bridge or things like that that could keep you from attacking with your Merit Lage and winning the game. And then you have some more Graveyard Disruption, Surgical Extractions, and Fairy Macabres, and then a additional Pithing Needle, and that is Golgari Depths for Legacy. Deck is really sweet, a unique combo deck. That's been our Instant Deck Tech for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.